I can't help but get a laugh because every time I turn my phone camera on me to make a video, I forget to set it to video, so I end up just taking a selfie. But hey, what's another selfie? Um, anyway, welcome to the Hype Mind. I'm Drew, and today we're going to talk about meeting yourself where you are and being able to go forward from where you are, but with a couple of very key concepts that are important to grasp in order to do that successfully. But I don't want to give too many details away because I don't want to spoil the theme here just yet. So let's start by talking about eagles. In America, they're a symbol of patriotism, of freedom. They're considered a very majestic bird to the people who haven't ever lived in Alaska. But even then, they're still a very beautiful bird, and they're considered majestic, and they bear a great symbolism. But you might not be familiar with their lifespan and the fact that eagles can actually live up to 70 years old. But it depends on a very important point of their life, right? Because by the time eagles hit 40 years old, they come to what you could call maybe a crossroads in their life, or what a lot of Americans might call the, oh man, what do they call that? When you hit that, oh, I can't think of it. You know what I'm talking about. Drop it in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. But that time where people hit that absolute hard spot in their life where things turn around. But that's what eagles hit at about 40 years of age, right? Their beaks get too old and overgrown, their talons get too old and overgrown, their feathers get too old and heavy, and they come to this crossroads where they can either do one of two things. They can leave themselves as they are and die at 40 years of age, or they can fly up to the top of a mountain, set up a nest there, and then go through a process of rebirth. They will, in order to survive another 30 years to hit age 70, they will beat their beak against a rock again and again and again until it falls off, despite the pain and the blood, so that a new beak can grow in place. And if you think that's bad, they'll then do the same thing with their talons, one by one, until each of their talons falls off, so a new talon can grow it back in place. And then once they've gone through the process of beating their beaks off and beating their talons off by striking them against the rock again and again and again, despite the pain of each strike, they'll then individually pluck each of their feathers so that new feathers can grow back. No matter what the pain, no matter what the blood. And once they complete this process, they then have a flight of rebirth where they are now fresh and new and light and ready to go back into another healthy 30 years. But in order to achieve this 70-year lifespan and to have another 30 years of life and to maintain their majesty and not die at age 40, they have to go through an incredibly painful process that is very time consuming and excruciating and very slow. And that's important to think about, because on our own level, we understand how that works as humans. If you've ever done any construction, maybe you've watched a house built, maybe you've built a house, maybe you've built your own house or a shed or whatever, you know that you build your house and you can only build a second or third story and another floor on top of that so many times. Eventually you actually have to just tear down the whole house and build a stronger foundation to go any higher than 3 or 4 stories. Like in the cities, in order to build skyscrapers, when they first learned how to build skyscrapers, they had to demolish buildings instead of build on the old buildings, because, well, one, those buildings were outdated. They didn't know then what they know now. They are in a different place now when they decided they wanted to build taller. um, you know, they had come a long way, people, construction workers, etc. And they understood that the reality I'm in now, I know much more than I did then, and the old has to go, Like, sometimes you could get away with continually building on what you knew, but once you've built on what you know so many times, eventually you have to scrap what you know and completely rebuild your foundation for an even taller, stronger building. And so, what I'm getting at is sometimes where you're at in reality, you need to scrap your old beliefs. You need to go against your ego and completely erase the board, completely level the building, completely pluck all your old feathers out, no matter how painful and how slow it is, in order for another successful 30 years of life of happiness and fulfillment and all the other good things that come with that, So what I'm getting at is, it's important to take what we've talked about in one of our other videos and meet yourself where you are and realize that, one, it's okay to start over and build from the ground up, and two, not only is it okay, sometimes it's absolutely necessary. You don't have a choice sometimes. It's the difference between, just like with the Eagles, life or death. It's the difference between old and new, Once you built that building so high, it's either you stick with the old for the rest of your life, which is, I personally don't recommend, because usually that means you're not happy, you want to move forward, but you can't. There's dissatisfaction in your life. There's maybe you're experiencing familiarity too immensely. Maybe you're stuck. So you need to be flexible enough to to go out with the old and in with the new, even if that means a complete destruction of the old. Now, let me remind you, that doesn't mean it has to be, it doesn't completely have to be painful. Like, yes, in the Eagles' case, ripping out each feather one by one is painful, and it will be painful to some degree, but you can still remember, the eagle doesn't do it all at once. He doesn't beat all his talons, rip all his feathers out, and beat his beak at the same time. That's an unbearable amount of pain. He does it slowly. First he works through the beak, slowly and with patience. Then he works through his talons. Then he works through his feathers, one at a time. And yes, it's slow, but he does it at his own pace, right? Don't miss some of these important concepts when you're coming to understand the concept of rebirth here. He does it at his own pace. He doesn't just take all the pain all at once and just beat the crap out of himself to a place where he might not possibly make it because the pain might be too great. He does it slowly and patiently. And the result is he gets to live another 30 years and maintain his dominance of the skies. And the same with a building. When you take down a building, you could send a wrecking ball through it, but more often than not, that's not the most productive way to do it. More often than not, you'll take down one floor, you'll take down the next floor, and you'll take down the next floor until you get to the foundation, and then you'll tear up the foundation if need be too. So when you go about recreating your beliefs for a newer, better version of yourself, so that you can continue to grow and educate yourself and move forward in life and find fulfillment, you can deconstruct those beliefs that make up your ego slowly so that the pain isn't as great as it would be. There's going to be pain. There's going to be hardship. It's not going to be easy. Deconstructing beliefs can be very difficult. And the reality is, in many cases, when you don't go about doing it yourself, life finds a way to do it for you. And it's usually twice as painful in that case. Those are the buildings that collapse when people are in them, because they didn't go about taking the house down to reconstruct that foundation. Or in the case of the eagle, that's the bird that dies because it didn't go about taking the time to slowly and patiently go through the process of pain to give itself new life. So, arguably, the bad outweighs the good here, but I mean, the good outweighs the bad. I'm sorry. Arguably, there's greater benefit from going through this temporary, momentary period of pain, but make sure you're thoroughly breaking this down so you understand that you can do it at your own pace. You can deconstruct those beliefs so that you can reconstruct new, solid beliefs to stand upon so that you can continue to go further with your self-consciousness and with your self-love and with your ability to give to the world and all that comes with it. So, to wrap it up, it is necessary in life. I would be very doubtful, very skeptical that many people go through life without having to get rid of old beliefs at some point and bring in new beliefs, and to go through the painful process of deconstruction, and then the growing pains of coming to understand and accept new beliefs. But it is possible, and it's for your better. And so understand that rebirth, it's a part of life. It's a natural part of life. And if it wasn't, despite the pain, if it wasn't a part of life like it is, then it wouldn't be necessary. But because it is a part of life, it is necessary for every individual's ability to go forward into life in a progressive sense. From everybody here at The Hype Mind, thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Take it easy.